Okay, so for this video, what we're going to be doing is actually looking at images and how they fit in Wix and how we can actually get them inside of the website that you're starting to create here. Now, I've logged out and got back into Wix, and you'll notice that my dashboard is a little bit different. You can see that here is the website that I created and saved. So to continue editing, I'm just going to go into Site Actions, and then I want to go ahead to Edit Site. Now that's going to take me automatically to the home page. Loading, let's actually talk about file types here. Now we know right over here that any Illustrator file is going to be an AI, which stands for Adobe Illustrator. Now right over here for file, you'll notice that it says PSD for Photoshop. The problem though is the internet is not friendly to AI or PSD files, and we have to convert them into JPEGs. So let's actually start with this right over here. Now there's two ways of doing this. The first way is actually to go into Photoshop or Illustrator and export them as a JPEG or a PNG, depending on what you want. And the other way is if you don't have, say, Photoshop installed on your computer or Illustrator for that matter, you can actually use an online converter. So let's actually start using the application first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on File. I'm going to go into Export, and let's do an Export As. Now, as soon as I get right over here, you'll notice that I have a whole bunch of different file types. So here's JPEG, which is supported by the internet, and we have PNG, which is also supported on the internet. Now, typically I do like JPEG photos in this, but if this is going to go on my homepage, one of the things I want to do is I want the white background to be removed so it actually kind of blends in or meshes in with the existing background of my Wix as a PNG. So let's go ahead and just do an export here. And then here it is. You can see it's a PNG, and I'm going to go File, Export. And you'll notice right over here, you have this little checkerboard pattern, and that checkerboard pattern tells me that this is going to actually go on my website, and it's not going to have a white outline over top of the different background colors. So let's go ahead and click on OK. Okay, so going back into Wix here, one of the things I want to do is go ahead to the plus button. And once I click on this, you can see that I can add images, gallery, slideshows, buttons, and the list goes on and on and on. So let's just go ahead to image because that's what we're dealing with right now. I'm going to go My Image Upload. Now you'll notice that you can see I've already uploaded these here, just kind of playing around with it. But I'm going to probably go ahead, highlight these, or actually I have to do it one at a time. And what I want to do is I just want to move to trash, because I'm just going to sort of start fresh here. And my advice to you is anytime you're working in a website, if you're not using something, get rid of it, unless you don't think you might use it a little bit later on. Now, how to upload your media is I go Upload Media, and I can just go ahead and, on my computer from Upload It, you can just select the file. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is actually having, your file already open and finding that and dragging and dropping it. So let me go ahead and find out where the PNG is, and here it is, because it says PNG. So let's click and drag and drop this right over here. Now it says failed to upload. I'm not too sure why, but this kind of is a weird name, and it added some extra stuff in here. Now I know why. It's because I actually have to close this off. There we go. Now it's going to work. So since I closed off the application, let's go here. Nope, still doing that. So let's do a quick rename. And just say yes, because we definitely. Okay, going into my Wix site. Let's click and drag and drop this right over here. I'll give it a moment or two. And awesome, let's go ahead and add to page. And there it is. So you'll notice that the white background is gone, and you can see what it looked like before. So huge difference. Let's get rid of that, and let's move this down. The nice thing is, as I start to bring this down here, you'll see that it pushes the footer off to the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now I want to start to see what things are going to look like on the internet. So let's just do a preview here, but let's publish it first, of course, because without publishing, nothing's going to show up. And let's do a preview. Okay, that's what it looks like. Bit of a problem here. Sometimes you have some illustrations that have a lot of detail, and if they're small on your web page, they don't really go, and they're not kind of enlarged. So we're going to just change that and just do one thing differently here. I'm going to go back into my editor here. All right, and I'm going to click on this, and you'll notice that I'm looking for a little cog or settings button. So by clicking on that cog, I want to change this when image is clicked And what we want to do is we want to do a pop-up. Okay, so we've changed the settings. Let's do a quick save. Publish. Don't want to show this again. And now let's do a preview. Now you'll notice that when I do a mouse over, my pointer turns into a little hand, and when I click on that, I get the full size of the actual image. Now I know it's not previewing very well, it's because we got rid of the background, but you can sort of see that, that's how it works, and it will be larger, especially when you have like smaller images right over here. Okay, so that's the first one. We've taken our favorite piece of work and we've populated it on the home page. Now let's go ahead and do that for the other pages. Now, one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my About page. Here it is. Now you can see I've got the image right here, and I'm going to delete this. And what we're going to do is talk about things that you should put on your About page. So in terms of you're taking this course because, write a couple sentences. My interests in graphic arts and animation are, tell me a little bit about what, what that sort of background is. You might even be taking an art class, right? My future goals may be, and it can be related to animation or graphic arts. That's up to you. It doesn't have to be. And some of my other interests include, and so you can finish off the sentence. On the About page, you should have about 5 or 6 sentences of a very short biography of you. Now, in terms of actually adding the image here, it's always a good idea to put something on there so people know who you are and who they're kind of inquiring about. And that might be a selfie. That might be something fun that I've done here in Photoshop, obviously with the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, and or it could actually be the draw yourself that you created in Adobe Illustrator. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same thing. If you recall, I'm going to go add. And I'm going to go my image uploads. But before I do that, I have to actually confirm that this is in JPEG format. Now, this does not need to be in PNG format because you'll notice it's just one big block with a bunch of colors. It doesn't need to blend in with the background. So let's go ahead and do File, Export as, just like in Illustrator, no different. And then what I want to do is I want to change it. By default, it'll be on PNG, but let's change it to JPEG right over here because, again, JPEG is flattened out of all the layers, whereas PNG actually preserves the layers in that case. So let's go ahead, JPEG, and export it all. Now, this is going to actually go in the same folder in which you actually created that document. And I already have it, but I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. Okay, great. So now, going back into Wix Editor, just like before, I'm going to click on Add, My Image. And let's go ahead, and what we need to do is create another one. Let's just close that off here. So I'm going to go Upload Media. Or I could have just done the drag and drop. That also works pretty easily. So let me go over here and find that. Shouldn't be too hard with an interesting thumbnail. And let's just click and drag and drop that right here. Now, the neat thing about your media gallery is it will keep track again of all of your images that you have. Delete the ones that you don't need. And that way you're just kind of building your website very efficiently and very, very cleanly. So let's go ahead and add this to the page. All right. And I can also put this above here too and rearrange my elements, but this is fine as it is. So under the setting cog, I'll go ahead and do that. And if you recall, let's do it as a pop-up. Okay, let's save it. Don't always forget to publish. And now what we want to do is we want to do a preview. And this is what it looks like. And if I click on this, you can see the large image in which you can actually see the details. Okay, so that looks pretty good so far. Next, let's go to the graphics tools page. So back into the editor. And let me just click on the graphics tools. Now you'll notice that all my headings are actually pretty consistent with each other. And what I mean by that is consistent with each other is that if I look at my home page, it is the same font, same size, same style, and everything as the graphics tools. And that's really easy to do. What I would actually do in this particular case is I'd maybe just grab this, do a right click, copy it, and then go into my animation page. I can do a right click, paste it, And now what I can actually do is I can actually just go ahead and I can actually change this. So let me edit the text. And I know that we're not on the animation part as of yet. So let me go ahead and type in animation 1. And I'll change this, which showcases my work in Adobe Animate, a 2D animation program. All right, I'll just put that in for now, but you'll notice that this copies really nicely over from one page to another. Okay, so let's go into graphics tools. Now, what should I put in the graphics tools page? Well, you can see something that I did, and just kind of like talking about this image, it's like I'm a huge Edmonton Oilers fan, and so I decided to make a coin because the owner was driving me crazy because we were losing for years and years and years. I probably want to do this though as a PNG because the background would come off. All right. Now, in terms of what else to put on this page, I'm going to go back into Jana's here, and you'll notice on graphics tools that she always gives a title. She talks about the task and what's required. She talks about the tools that she uses, and of course the software. And we're actually using Adobe Photoshop CC. You don't have to worry about a year. Now the nice thing is Jana always adds in a before and after photo wherever she can. Same thing with Paint a Car. She gives a title, a task, tools used, and of course the software with the before and after where possible. Now you can see that she's got the briefcase, Game of Thrones, the flames, again, before and after. And every time I click on one of these images, you'll see that it always goes full size, and that's important. You need to do that. And then draw yourself right over here too. So you can write up your own descriptions if you want to. You can just adapt Jana's and just use them to sort of help you out. But these are all the kinds of things that you should actually have on here. And she did a really nice animated GIF too. Be sure to check the assignment though to see what is required for you to put on your website. So with this video, as a quick summary here, what you should do here is start adding images, and those images are going to be going to your homepage. Pick your favorite one. Graphics tools, of course, we've got lots of different images. And about, you can have a selfie, or you might have your draw yourself, or something kind of fun and creative with what you've done here. And also possibly additional works. Always look at Jana's site. So this is the conclusion of this particular video. And in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to actually see if we can take some of those animations. And what we want to do is we want to add those animations to your web page. And there's a couple ways of doing that. And I almost forgot. For those of you who don't have Photoshop or Illustrator, you can also use an online converter. And those online converter programs are excellent for converting different file types. So one of the ones that I'm looking at, if I can remember the name, so online converter, file converter. There we go. This one right here is a good one. And this one right here is convertio.co. And the way that this works is quite simple. What you can do is you can choose your file. So let me go ahead and choose a file. And for example, it could be, let me just go into this folder here. And again, let me find the Photoshop. Actually, you know what? Let's just do the Infinity Gauntlet. So there it is. So I've added the file, and you can see right here, the file format is Photoshop, and it wants to go into a PNG. You can definitely change that if you want. So you got to kind of play around with the settings a little bit. So right here, PSD, and what I can do is I can actually change this instead to say a JPEG, just like that. Now, when I click on the convert button, it will automatically appear in my download folder. So that's going to work really, really good if you don't have Photoshop, say, installed on your computer. So give that a go. You can also take Illustrator files and convert them to PNGs, or you can convert them to JPEGs. So this just does a ton of different programs. In fact, let me take this to you. Let's add another file here. So let me choose the file. And I'm going to grab actually an Illustrator file format. And if I can find it. And here is the logo. And again, right over here, you have the bike logo, and I can easily change this to a JPEG or say like a PNG, which has that kind of like transparent background. So kind of play around with the different settings and see what you can come up with. Do whatever works for you. If you want to export it in the programs, great. If you want to do it on this Convertio, .co. This is free. It also works really, really well. Just don't forget it's in your downloads folder. Okay, so I've talked enough for this video. I apologize. And so give it a go and good luck.